Good morning, fellas.
What's going on, man?
Morning.
What's good, man?
Are y'all getting the echo when I talk?
Nah, it's not too bad.
It wasn't like it was backstage.
All right, cool. Because I had to share the sound because it's some videos. But good morning, Mom.
Good morning, Miss Debbie.
First one as usual. And good morning, everybody else. Welcome to another team meeting where our number one mission is to distract you from your current story, dismantle your current belief system, and inspire you to change your mind, which will then inspire you to change your life. Come on. All of the places you can find us: Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Game 7 Apparel at game7shop.com. A Goal Line program, we get it in every Saturday morning at 8. We got a lot of things coming for that. And our Game 7 Academy tutoring, mentoring, and coaching programs. Our mission is to serve. So when y'all see us, the likes and the comments are dope. But like I said, our mission is to serve. So please smash that share button. So what's the focus for today? What's the topic for the week? So we're going to talk about what it takes to be a repeat champion, not just to win once, but to keep on winning. What does it take? And the inspiration behind this week, there was a big story about Naomi Osaka. She's absolutely killing it right now. She's a young lady. She's 23. So as we do this, I'm looking at this, and this I feel old, but I'm looking at this as a lens of one of my students. I've taught kids her age, and then actually today is a very proud moment for me as a teacher and a mentor to see Jalil fight later, and hopefully he gets to this level in due time in regards to being a world champ, to which I truly believe he can be. And obviously Mayweather thinks the same too. So shout out to Jalil. Make sure you put my man to sleep tonight. But Naomi Osaka. So her career statistics. She's currently ranked number 2 in the world. This is tennis, number 2 in the world, formerly number 1. She has won WON. She's won one ONE. She's won 1 title this year, and she has 7 career titles overall. And 4 of those are Grand Slam titles. And a Grand Slam title is like the championship of the championship in tennis, just like golf. She's made over $2 million this year and just about $20 million over her career on the tennis court. But as I was doing my research, she made about $50 million off the court over the last year. So she's absolutely killing it on the court and killing it even more off the court. And at age 23, already she is the highest paid female athlete in the world. All right, so she's killing it on the court, off the court, at least physically and financially, on the court and off the court. But this week, the big story was she withdrew from the French Open. All right, to put this in more of a general term, it's like Tom Brady not playing in the Super Bowl. LeBron, even though he left 5 minutes early, not playing in the playoffs, not playing in the championship, right? Or the best pitcher on the Yankees or whoever's in the World Series, not playing. It's that level of significance. All right, so she withdrew from the French Open, and here was her message that she posted on Instagram to notify the public. So I'm going to read through it because this is the basis of our episode today. Hey, everyone. This is not a situation that I ever imagined or intended when I posted a few days ago. I think now the best thing for the tournament, the other players, and my well-being is that I withdraw so that everyone can get back to focusing on the tennis that is going on in Paris. I never wanted to be a distraction, and I accept that my timing was not ideal, and my message could have been more clear. More importantly, I would never trivialize mental health or use the term lightly. The truth is that I had suffered long bouts of depression since the US Open in 2018, and I've had a really hard time coping with that. Anyone that knows me knows that I'm introverted, and everyone that has seen me at the tournament will notice that I'm often wearing headphones as that helps me dull my social anxiety. Those attendance press like not press like we press, but press like the news and the press conference has always been kind to me, and I would like to apologize especially to all the cool journalists who I may have hurt. I am not a natural public speaker and get huge waves of anxiety before I speak to the world's media. I get really nervous and find it stressful and to always try to engage and give you the best answers I can. So here in Paris, I was already feeling vulnerable and anxious, so I thought it was better to exercise self-care and skip the press conferences. I announced it preemptively because I do feel the rules are quite outdated in parts, and I wanted to highlight that. I wrote privately to the tournament, apologizing and saying that I would be more than happy to speak with them after the tournament as the slams are intense. I'm going to take some time away from the court now, but when the time is right, I really want to work with the tour to discuss the ways we can make things better for the players, the press, and the fans. Anyways, I hope you all are doing well and staying safe. I love you guys, and I'll see you when I see you. So that's her essentially talking about her withdrawal from the French Open. She's apologizing. She talked about her anxiety, and she talked about the root of her anxiety. So once again, she withdrew from the French Open because she had a lot of anxiety dealing with the press. And I might be getting ahead of myself, but some depression that is based off of her experience of winning a championship in 2018 when she first beat Venus Williams. So how do we get here? All right. How do we get here? Shout out Deborah Cox and Kanye. How do we get here? All right. So the press conference dispute. So before this, Osaka had never spoken in public about her depression, which she said began in 2018 after her victory, not her loss, after her biggest victory over Serena Williams, who's said to be the best athlete in sports, not my opinion, but that's what a lot of people say, at the US Open before a boisterous crowd that was firmly behind her opponent. So Osaka won, but they booed all crazy because everybody was rooting for Serena, right? So in 2018, Osaka defeated Serena in the US Open to win her first Grand Slam title, but it was overshadowed by drama between Williams and the chair umpire. Williams was involved in multiple confrontations with the chair umpire, ranging from her denying that she was cheating by receiving coaching from the stands to calling the official a thief. Boos poured down from the Arthur Ashe Stadium crowd during the trophy ceremony, leaving Osaka in tears. That's when Williams provided the comfort and also told the crowd to show the victor some love. In the biggest moment of her career, Osaka had to go through intense adversity in what should be a moment of celebration. So as I was doing my research, I remember this tennis match, but not because of Osaka, but because of Serena. I didn't think Serena was a good leader at all. She was very, very entitled. I think she was just whining and crying because she knew she was going to lose to this 2018, to this 19, 20-year-old girl. If that was basketball, football, any team sport, Serena would have been ejected. Going back and forth with the ref, crying about penalties, name calling, not cussing, but, back and forth with the ref, that's not what you do. Just play ball. Not shut up and dribble, but I remember this for that, not because of the match. I saw KG shake his head too. It was, I think it was a horrible job as a leader of sport in women by Serena when she was losing and just crying and calling all those names. And I'm sure after doing research, it took a huge impact on Osaka. But at the end, during the trophy ceremony, they were booing and booing and booing and booing and booing, like on some Philly stuff. Like it was bad. It was giving her the blues. And I'm sure, obviously that was a moment that Naomi was looking forward to. And she finally got to this top moment and it was just, a thunderstorm. It was all bad news. And ever since that day, Osaka has been depressed, according to what she said. So moving forward, this was the first time in professional tennis that a star as significant as Osaka, who has not suffered a physical injury, has walked away in the middle of an event as big as the French Open. Once again, a Grand Slam. And Gilles Moreton, the president of the French Federation of Tennis, called her withdrawal unfortunate and wished her the quickest possible recovery. The dispute between Osaka and the tournament officials began on Wednesday when she announced that she would not participate in the press conferences during the Open because she said that the negative questions about her affected her mental health. And this came to a climax. That Sunday, after her first round win, and when she made good on her promise to skip the news conference, hours later, she was fined 15 G's for missing the conference. In addition, the leaders of the 4 tournaments, the Australian Open, the French and the US Open, and Wimbledon, they threatened that she could be kicked out of the tournament and face harsher penalties if she did not fulfill her media obligations. All right. So her sister, Osaka's sister, a former professional tennis player, indicated that Osaka's anxiety was caused in part of her struggles to win on clay courts like the ones at the French Open. The press asked about her sister's poor performance every time she plays on clay, which hurt her. Mary Osaka said in a post on Reddit, by avoiding the conferences, her sister said she could block everything out, and not talking to people could eliminate the potential doubt in her mind. So her sister said, yeah, we got all this depression, all this stuff going on, but she's just not that good on clay, and she don't want to hear about it. All right? Did that twice. All right, so some of her previous experience with the press. So after the first round in 2019 Wimbledon, Osaka was probed by reporters about her loss to Kazakh tennis player Yulia Putintseva. One reporter asked, when you play someone who you've lost to recently, how hard is it not to have that in your head? Another reporter asked, do you think because you're younger, it can be difficult to be consistent at this age? She replied, I wouldn't blame my age on anything. I've done a lot of good things and I've done a lot of bad things, but I'm not the type of person who would say that because I'm young, I get to get away with certain things. As a Japanese athlete who's half Japanese and half Haitian, Osaka has also faced scrutiny about her identity. Her ethnicity has prompted questions about how Japanese she may be, and she's been asked by various outlets to exhibit her bilingual skills. After the 2018 US Open, a reporter asked how her last name is the same as the city she was born in. Your last name is Osaka. You were born in Osaka. That's kind of strange because your father is a Haitian. So how come your last name is not is the name of the city, but not your father? You should have the last name of your father. All right. And I don't think this was serious, but she responded, you ready? We're recycling a joke from 2014. Everyone who was born in Osaka has a last name Osaka. All right. So she gets asked about her race, and she gets asked about previous matches, who beat her. Typical athlete stuff, like they ask high school athletes that. So what's the point? No matter what you're going through, where you come from, or how you look on the outside, what matters is where you are and what's inside. She's got all this money, all of this victory, all of this money from ads and her personal brand, all this kind of stuff, but she's not doing good. She's doing so bad to the point that she quit. She quit her moneymaker. She quit what makes her relevant in this world, right? Because of other people and things going on outside. So this is where I think this is a big loss. Clearly, I'm making this up, but I feel like this would be Kobe would have been the perfect mentor for her. He coached and trained a lot of young ladies, primarily basketball players, but I just know for a fact that Kobe would have been on the phone with her, or Kobe would have been there with her, helping her get through this. Because you got to do the work mentally, physically, emotionally, and financially to be holistically fit, right? Because from the outside looking in, these questions she was asked is regular. The only reason she has money is because of the press and the media blowing her up. Like if tennis wasn't blown up around the world, she wouldn't have no money. She wouldn't be anybody, at least through tennis, unless she had some other ways of generating this kind of buzz and this kind of income. So to me, like it's a sign of mental weakness that she withdrew because of the questions she was asked about losing and playing on clay, like, you know, or you won and the crowd booed you. You're a professional athlete, you know. I've never been an athlete on that kind of level, but it's just a regular part of athletics, you know. We see other people go through way worse than this, right? Now, depression may be a culmination of a whole bunch of different things, but if it is just this, she has to do the work because, like, once again, if I'm speaking to her as a mentee, if I'm speaking to Jaleel in this capacity, you got to be out there, bro. You can't not be out there unless you physically can't be out there. Not because of the press or the media and all that. Now, if you got to duck them, but you got to pay the fine. See Kyrie, see Marshawn Lynch. Those are the two biggest names that came to mind. Or just go up there like Marshawn did. I'm just here so I don't get fined, right? Or you being negative or whatever. Just respond back. One of the biggest media growth that we've all witnessed was LeBron. When he was younger, like her age, he was real political, making sure he didn't say the wrong thing because little kids are watching me. But through time, once he realized who he was, he just said what he wanted to say. You know, and tennis is a one-man game, one-woman game. You got your coaches and your support staff, unless you're paying doubles. But you out there by yourself. Like, you do your thing. Say what you want to say. You know, you see how abrasive Serena is with the media. You see how abrasive her sister is with the media. You know, but clearly they've been coached up, and they're a lot more polished as women than she is. But she has a lot of work to do because she can't miss out on this opportunity. You know, there's little girls all around the world who are watching her and looking up to her. She's supposed to be like the savior of the young Black youth now. You know, that's kind of hyperbole. But she has a responsibility to the community to be out there. She has a responsibility to herself to be out there. She's the one that can chase all of Serena's records. You know, you see what she did to Serena when she did beat her. So she has to do the work. And once again, I'm not trying to bash her. I'm speaking to her if she ever watches this for whatever reason or hears about it, whatever. Like, you got to be out there. And you're mentally weak right now because people outside whose job is to ask you questions, and none of them were disrespectful. They're talking about you took an L, you're playing on the clay court, your last name that is kind of unique, and you're not going to play because of the media. Like, that's part of the game. I forgot to quote, but whoever is ranked number one, that lady was like, yo, that's what we signed up for. Like, we get all this money and publicity because of them. You got to be able to deal with them, right? But clearly she has some work to do inside so she can continue to get this money and continue to get these and continue to get these ships. So let's talk about what it takes to be a repeat champion. And this is not just tennis. Like, you're a champion in business. You're a champion father. You're a champion son. You're the best teacher, whatever the case may be. But to continue to get those results, there's going to be a time where you got to overcome some things that doesn't have anything to do with the thing that you do. All right? So let's take a flashback. So June 4th, 2020, episode 1 of the podcast. Damn, I went too far. Well, you can tell what I'm gonna say next. That it was trash. But let's look at it. Come on.
What up,
You
bro?
just look at the zone.
I can't call it, man. I'm good. Just got done doing a little bit of work for, G7, but I'm gonna keep that on the low until it's ready to, be launched.
Yeah.
All right, you can't hear it, but you can just look at it
Good right now.
and see we came a long way. We got the weak headphones in the middle of the Rona. KG ain't touched that goatee in weeks. Looking rough on the cam. All right, first podcast. That was just a year ago, June 4th. it was trash. It was all bad, you know. But we was out there. Didn't look good at all. And when I put it in the group chat, Mace responded, "It's crazy how much changes in a year." Right? It is. It's crazy how much changes in a year. And my response was, yeah, when you work literally every D day, you can't ignore that part. Like literally every freaking day. So over that year, we're able to get here from there because we did the work. Like people think doing the work is just doing the work. But there's a certain, the people that win, they do a lot more work than the people that don't win. All right. So let's compare average work versus champion level work. And once again, this is a champion in wherever you need to be a champion at. So let's look at the past year and assume you've been working a 9 to 5 from home. So the average person, they don't have to commute anymore in this regard. So they wake up later. They don't wake up till 8:30. They used to wake up at 6:30 to get dressed, take a shower, whatever, get to the car, stop at Starbucks, spend their $7.99 a day, and then get to the office. But now they don't wake up till 8:30. They work from 9 to 12. You got lunch from 12 to 1. You work from 1 to 5. You chill out because you earned it. You work hard. You chill out from 5 to 6. You cook and you eat from 6 to 7. You got family time from 7 to 9. Run around with the kids, chill with your girl, your wife, your husband, aunt, uncle, whatever. 9 to 12:30, you doing whatever you're doing. You watching the game. You Netflix and chilling. You on the phone. More family time. You getting ready for work tomorrow. Whatever happens at that time. And then you got 12:30. Once again, this is generic, but this is what most people do. I know that for a fact. Is this kind of a fair assumption, y'all? Yes, no? For a general person? Okay. So we got the general schedule for the general person. That's average. All right. Now let's look at a champion. They wake up at 5. They're reading, right? They're learning some kind of stuff. Once again, this is general. They're reading and learning at 5:30. They get their workout in at 6:30. They got breakfast and planning for the day, checking the market, checking emails, checking daily plans, whatever, 7:40. They did all that before their family wakes up. But now at 8:30, you get to check on your family, right? You get to help them get up. They have no clue what you did. I just watched a clip from $1 Million Worth of Game, the Damian Lillard podcast. He was like, my family don't have a clue what I do because I get my work in before they wake up, and then I get to be a family man when they up. So check on your family 8:30. You work 9 to 12. Lunch, everybody in the house. So this person knows I got to get out, get some self-care. They get their walk in 12 to 1. They work 1 to 5. They got business 5 to 6. They cook and they eat 6 to 7. Family time 7 to 8. Business 8 to 9. So they do everything that the average person did, right? They got an hour less of family time in this regard, but they did so much more. They did some reading to learn. They took care of their body, their mind and their body. They had breakfast. Most people skip breakfast because they're cherishing their sleep. You know, they're chasing that dream in their sleep instead of the dream when they're alive, right? Checked on their family, and they worked on their business. They did everything the average person did, plus they did more. So for Miss Osaka, her challenge in this regard would be working on her mental health, right? How do I overcome my anxiety? They're going to say things about me losing, but did I really lose? I lost. Okay. I got to woman up and answer that question. Or I'm not good on clay, but I'm a 7-time champ at 23. I'm pretty good, right? Let me get with Serena, or let me get with a coach, or let me get with Tony Robbins or somebody to get my mind right and do this extra stuff. So the point is, if you're a champion, whether that's business, I always talk about with G, the person that gets that promotion for that $100,000 job who's coming from 60, they've been doing a $100,000 job. They've been doing 40 G's worth of work for free. But somebody ahead of them notices that, and that person is showing that they're ready. It's just like how this is not a big name, but like Alex Caruso, he probably about to get paid. You know what I mean? Like all these free agents they've been outperforming their contract, right? Those people that outperform their contract get the big contract. Whether you're a LeBron or whether you're a rookie, every contract can be outperformed. That's because they're doing more. So the difference between the two, right? The schedule on the left, they leave things to chance, primarily with that whatever else, right? What I feel like doing, and this includes the night owls. The night owls who are champions, you're leaving a lot of room for error because things happen in the daytime. Your girl's gonna need this, or your son is sick, or she got an attitude, or you get a work email, or something happens in life that you can't control. All right. So on the left side, the average person, they're leaving things to chance. I'll just run away. All right. If something happens, I'll just run away because I didn't do the work. On the right side, this person is intentional. They're very, very intentional. They have non-negotiables to get better because they have a big goal. There's somewhere that they want to go. So they don't leave things to chance. Right. So the average worker, they leave it to chance. And the winner, they're very, very intentional, and they do a lot more. So we want Naomi to do the work. We want her to do the work. Why? Not being malicious, but we want her to keep winning ships. And when you keep winning ships, the media is unavoidable. So as she continues to get better on the court and off the court, she's going to have to deal with this more and more and more and more and more. And she cannot keep running away, or she's going to start losing overall because she's going to remove herself from her winning opportunities. But when she does the work, next time the media comes at her sideways, she can handle it more like this. So could y'all hear that last video I played from the podcast? Oh, I couldn't. All right, so y'all can. So I'm gonna let it play. So the first 30 seconds is Venus Williams was asked a question about Naomi. So let's see what she said. I know YouTube not giving us an ad. Come on, y'all.
You into the hottest drama? Netflix. Get really into it with Xfinity Flex.
When one burns for someone who does not feel the same.
That's good stuff. Flex is a 4K streaming box that's free with Xfinity Internet. Xfinity. It's a way better way to watch.
For me personally, how I deal with it was that I know every single person asking me a question can't play as well as I can and never will. So no matter what you say or what you write, you'll never let it handle to me. So that's how I deal with it. But each person deals with it differently.
All right, so a totally different approach than Naomi. Yo, y'all can say what y'all want. Y'all not the ones out here winning these ships. I am. You can never light a candle to me, so you can ask what you ask. It is what it is. So we want Naomi to do the work. We want you to do the work so you can continue to win or win for the first time if you haven't won. So I just took Naomi's situation and it made me think of you can be winning in one or two areas and then lose overall. You got mental, physical, emotional, and financial. You have to have all four. Right? Once again, health is wealth. We see people make money all the time, but then they don't enjoy it because they get sick, right? Or they die off, or their mental health is not good, whatever the case may be. So our point today is you got to do the work. So let's just go in order on the screen. KG, G, Pizzle.
Word. Yeah, so I'll start it off. That's a good talk. Obviously a lot of that news surprised a lot of people. And I'm gonna play devil's advocate here. I can definitely see both sides of the field, right? Just being a former athlete and just sometimes always being in front of people. Even though that's part of what you do, it can be can bring some anxiety, right? Especially when someone's just trying to get a big story and they're willing to kind of do anything or say anything to get that. So I definitely understand her on that part, and to be honest, I commend her for even just understanding, like, yo, like, I'm not right now. Like, I need to take this time for myself and figure it out, and so I can come back not only a better person and tennis player, but just an overall, better human being. So for me, I can understand both sides for sure. It's good that she walked away so she can kind of focus. But I totally agree, especially with what you said, Mal. To who much is given, much is expected, right? She has been given a huge platform with an abundance of talent, and she's probably the next generation of like that dominant female athlete, right? So you see, growing up, we used to see Mia Hamm. We used to see all those Lisa Leslie and women and strong figures like that. Also, obviously, the Williams sisters, Sue Bird, and things like that. And now she's one of the next up and coming and very successful. So I think, when you're in a path that you have the opportunity to definitely always get a lot of media attention, whatever you're doing, especially since she's dating rapper Cordae. Like, that's just like a power couple, right? So with all of that being said, you know that it's going to be media attention no matter what. Like, and just like you said, as Marshawn would do, even with Russell Westbrook or players like that, when they weren't feeling it, they just weren't feeling it. Right. And I totally get that. And that you have to be mentally strong and mentally put together to endure those, right? Because think about it. When someone's in the press, they still must produce a story every day, even if it's not a top story relevant. So it's going to be questions that will poke the bear. It's going to be questions that are trying to get you to feel that way, or trying to get you there, because it's just like when people are joning, like the best joking and best things are going to happen when you get a response from someone, and then you can take it forward from there. So for me, I think once she finds out and whatever she has to do to get to that level where she knows that mentally that she is a G. Right. And don't get me wrong, like your first ever Grand Slam against probably her idol. Right. And like, and exactly what she's brought up to and wants to dream about, like she gets booed. Right. Like that's traumatizing. Right. But how and can, things like that motivate you? What do you use? What set strategies do you use to mentally prepare yourself for all of these things, right? And even if you aren't a star or any of this, people are always going to say something about you, right? But as your platform raises and increases, that's going to be even more, 10 times worse. So you have to be mentally sharp at all times. And does that mean that you're not allowed to suffer from any mental illnesses? No, without a doubt. This does not mean that, because, mental illness is something that just people deal with. But it does mean that you have to be in charge of it and have to be willing to, do the work in terms of doing that, right? Because I suffered from mental illness, in the past when I was transitioning, and it was trash. And when I didn't deal with it, it was bad. I didn't leave the bed for days. I wasn't me. I gained about 30 pounds. So when you don't deal with things, they don't just go away because you don't address them. They just stack up, and then the next time you open that door when you think you're ready to address it, instead of being shin level in terms of what you have to go through, now it's belly button level. Now it's whoa, like, well, this is even scarier. So it's extremely important to do the work, especially when you are a champion or want to become a champion, because as you gain more victories and more experience, it's going to be more people that are against you. It's going to be more times where you get a chance that you're going to have to speak out. It's just going to be more exposure the more you win. And that means you have to be a different you or in a more complete level each time of the day.
All right, yeah, KG, I definitely agree with a lot that you said. I've been following this story for one reason or the other all week, and I think I commend her. I definitely agree that there's some growth there because this is part of the game, but I respect her for being the first person to approach the situation in this way, because clearly it's not about the money. Clearly she loves the sport, but she values her being more than anything else. I saw J.A. Adonde, one of the writers that's on ESPN and Fox Sports 1 a lot. He said the only critique he had was that she could have handled this behind the scenes, or at least approach the tennis commission behind the scenes before letting it go public. And I respect that perspective too, because I think that what she is trying to do is the right thing. I do think that there needs to be some level of leeway to respect all players' mental health, but it needs to be an agreement between the players, the press, and whichever sport you're playing for. But regardless, I think it took courage for her to step up and expose herself and make herself vulnerable in this way. With that being said, this is part of the game. And no different than the video you showed from a year ago, Mal, where, like you said, things were looking rough. This is the beginning of her career, and no different than LeBron or Venus or Serena. She's going to have to learn how to navigate these waters because they're not going anywhere. And some of the questions you mentioned to me are crazy. Like, don't ask me why my name is not Haitian. That's a crazy question. But over time, I think she'll learn how to deflect and not let that affect her as much. So I'm looking forward to seeing her growth because at 23, she has a long career left. And I think 5 years from now, 10 years from now, when we look back and we see her handling the media and then them gaining respect for her to the point that they don't even test her in certain ways, we'll be able to chart that growth. I feel like every star athlete at the beginning of their career, they get treated one way, and over time, that media respect grows. And I think that she'll be respected for this in the long run. It may impact her money, it may impact her standing within tennis for a little while, but she's too good to go away. So I'm excited to see where she goes from here. But I agree that she definitely has to work on how she handles the distractions internally and externally. And I think over time she'll get better at it.
Definitely great points, G and KG. You guys touched on a lot of very similar topics that I agree with. I think in her situation, I always say, heavy's the head that wears the crown, right? So if you're put in a certain situation, you got to be able to just handle it and deal with the pressures that come with it. I'm not too big on it, as y'all know. I'm not huge into sports, and especially let alone tennis. But one thing I will say about this whole situation is like, it's like, damn, man, it's you look at it, you kind of congratulate her, right? Like that you're able to recognize that, this is bothering you, and you're going to remove yourself from the situation and handle something else. But then again, it's kind of like, you better be able to deal with the pressures that come with the territory. She is younger, of course, naturally she's able to, she will become a little bit more comfortable with dealing with those questions and feeling them in certain ways. But I think right now she has to take a step back to like really deal with the mental piece, right? And I also find it to be very interesting because it shows like the connection between like athletes and people that we look up to. A lot of times they're human beings too, right? Like a lot of times they have the mental issues or they have a lot of personal issues that they go through. And they have to handle those in addition to being a top tier person where they're waking up at 5, working out, doing this, going to school, handling situations. So I think when we look at it that in that particular light, it's kind of like, damn, you know, it sucks for her, but then in a different way, it's kind of like, yo, you need to handle your business and do what you got to do. So this story is pretty interesting. I'm interested to keep and continue to watch it. I think she does have a very bright future, but she has to take care of the mental piece, just in the same exact manner that she takes care of her physical and her competitiveness.
Dope. I want to jump in real quick off of something that KP said, and it's huge, right? He said that people, when you're a professional athlete or a star athlete or something like that, a lot of times people forget that you're like human, right? They forget that you can suffer from things just like them, and I think moments like this, you see both sides, right? You see people that are like, oh my gosh, like how can she ever? She got all this money and XYZ, and she's not happy, or she can't even talk to the media. When that person that's saying that doesn't know that every time someone says something to them, they react by yelling and getting defensive, right? Constant thing of not being able to control emotions, right? So for me, I think and KP, you said it, and G said it as well. It's a great thing to be able to be in a spot where you have enough, and in a sport where you are able to be like, yo, I just need to walk away for a second because I need to do me, right? And oftentimes people always forget that athletes are, like we are people. Like when I step off this court, I might have to go deal with something like my uncle might be a drug addict and disrupting the family. Like, so, but that's no here or there. That was just a huge point that KP made. But yeah, it's definitely interesting to see. And just like in any other sport, you see these superstar athletes with so much expectation coming on as youngsters. Is definitely going to take time, right? Because we're 30 plus, right? And it took time for us to understand our emotions. It took time to understand, these things about ourselves. We're still learning every day, for sure. So, I looking forward into the future. I think this is just going to be kind of a not that big of a deal thing going down the line, but this is going to be something that for herself and other athletes alike is going to be like, wow, like I can't just dominate the court or whatever it is. Like as Malk said, it's 4 different things that I need to dominate in, and I think we're going to see in the future some athletes start developing a little bit earlier because they're going to be taught like that growing up. So, we're going to see in the next probably about 10, 20 years, this is just going to be a little blip of her career.
So just to build on that, I do think that this may be a small part of her story overall. But the one thing I wanted to mention was throughout the week, a lot of people came out in support of her. And share some of their perspectives too. And even a lot of corporations, I don't care as much about them because to me, that's usually going to be more financially driven. But there were several athletes that came out and one congratulated her, but then also said, this is something I struggle with too, or this is something that, I don't always want to talk to the press or whatever it was. So I think that to KP's point, hopefully this pushes the media and this pushes the general population to start seeing athletes as full people. It's not that they just sleep, wake up, hit the court and go back to sleep. But like you said, KG, there are other things that they're dealing with in their lives. And people have good days and bad days. When you have a bad day at work, or when you have a bad day when you wake up, you're not feeling well, you call out of work. A lot of these athletes can't call off from a game when they're not feeling well. So I do think that as the general population and as the media, we owe them that respect to understand that they are full people. And hopefully this pushes it in that direction.
And then to hop back in real quick is that you know, a lot of times I have wrote down real quick. So you think about it, right? She's a part of a tennis team, which is different. You know, if you think about if you're a rookie and you coming onto a team or a basketball team and you're dealing with a lot of issues, like, yo, you always got the old heads that are going to tell you, like, yo, when they ask you these questions, it's going to be annoying as hell. And this is how you deal with it, right? Same thing when you look at, you know, any type of basketball, anything like that. But with her coming into it, she has more so advisors who she has to reach out to get questions or to get the support she needs on how to actually answer those questions versus it just being like, yo, I'm in the locker room and somebody's going to tell me like, yo, this reporter right here is a a-hole, yo, he's going to ask you certain questions, but just know how to answer it. So I think in her case, it's exploited and it's heightened more because she's completely by herself as a tennis player versus being a part of a team where she's able to get a lot more support and a little bit more of a shield to have to answer some of those tough questions. So I think that was like another point I just thought of as well.
Right. Well, she definitely has a team. Like, don't get it twisted. She's not alone at all. She's only alone on the court. But KG said something about how you are raised. That's a big thing. One person I study is Tim Grover, who was Kobe and Jordan's trainer, and a lot of other very, very, very successful athletes as well. And on a recent podcast, he talked about, like, he was asked about how these athletes handled adversity. He talked about Serena, Venus, Kobe, Mike, and Tiger Woods. He said, well, it just so happens that they all had amazing fathers who put them through so much adversity that when it happens on the court, when it happens in the media, it's nothing to them, right? And I don't know anything about her father, but how you raise your kids matters so much. Like, that's why I'm so eager to see what happens with Jaleel, because I'm always talk about, I don't call parents. I hate how schools do that. Like, yo, you got Instagram, the grade book is on your phone. Like, you know, like a Nas's grades is on my phone. You feel me? So, like, we know what's going on. I hate chasing down kids. But the first day I met Jaleel's father, I met his family at parent-teacher conferences, and his father was like, yo, my son is going to be a world champion boxer. We do not play with anything. We compete in absolutely everything. If you ever catch him lacking, you call me. We're not here to play. We take advantage of every opportunity. I remember that. Jaleel had a B+, but he got off a little bit. Only parent I ever called. And he went from B+ to A+ in every single class. And I could just tell he was different from the beginning. Like, all day, he would come in with these big Ziploc bags of broccoli. Just eat broccoli, eat broccoli, eat broccoli all day, doing his work. The way he carried himself was like just like a little man, like a full man's man already. And like I track him very closely, obviously. And he's already dealing with media because he's right behind Mayweather, and he's handling it well because of the way that he was raised, you know. So I get all this stuff, but like as an athlete, if you make it that high, I don't feel for you. Like, you have a responsibility because this is where you worked to get to, you know. Like, you got to struggle. Everybody got struggles, you know. And as I said, I haven't been there, but I would much rather have those struggles than have the struggles that people in poverty and people who didn't make it to where you made it have, you know. So my thing is, like, and then also we've all seen so many athletes who had amazing talent who didn't pan out because of their mental. Right? They won one championship. They won a couple of 20. Then they disappeared because they didn't have it mentally together. They stopped doing the work, you know. So I just want her to make sure she takes advantage of this opportunity, right? And once again, it's all about how you receive it. Like, I wouldn't trip off that Osaka question. Oh no, I got that name because of this, you know. So shout out to all the other step kids or all the other whoever's that have this kind of situation. You know, she can take everything and flip it for a positive. All right, so cool. Take this time, but like she need to come back from this strong, you know, because like these questions wasn't disrespectful, you know, like, and her sister kind of snitched on her, like, yo, it ain't really your questions. She just don't want to hear no negative thoughts because she don't do good on clay. And she got booed. You know, she needs to get it together. And that's probably the person that know her best, at least from all of these other perspectives. But to bring it down to like a non-athlete perspective, a more normal person, is that you can't ignore any of these four, right? The number one things I see people ignore is physically. oh man, like, these people just let go. I don't understand how people do that, you know, and that matters. And then really it's kind of all of them, you know, like you have to dominate in all of these areas if you want to be great. And like Naomi is at a barrier, right? She's at a barrier. So to get through these levels, you got to dominate in all four, and you have to do the work. So I just want to echo that no matter what your situations, and y'all know me, y'all know my personality, like I don't care what you're going through, you figure it out if you want to get to that next level. Otherwise, just tell me I'm not willing to do the work, and if I don't make it to the next level, I won't make it. But people are not going to say that. So I just want to reiterate that you got to dominate in all four and do the work. And also, I will commend her though. I guess that's what y'all saying. Keep it G with yourself. That's my thing. Like, yo, Mount, I don't want to work out. I ain't ready. Cool. Right? Or I had an emotional outburst because I'm not willing to learn about the brain. That's only for scientists. Right? Or I don't got no bread because I went on all these trips and that's all my bread. Now I'm in debt. I can't pay my debt. You know, you got to keep it G with yourself and do the work. So let's do another round of comments and let's bring it down to a regular person's level. How does doing the work holistically resonate with y'all? Let's do Pizzle, G, KG.
To bring it to a regular person's level, to me, it's you gotta be able to do the work. You have to be able to identify what's the weak part of you, right? You got the mental, physical, financial, and I can't think of the fourth one. But you gotta be able to identify it, keep it real with yourself, and say like, "Yo, this is the issue," and then do the work to improve upon it. And I think, you know, from my stance for her, it's you know, she does the work in all the other aspects of her life, and then now she needs to do the work in the mental piece. Maybe could have been handled a little differently, but make sure that you're able to handle situations. And if you do gotta do the work towards those areas that are a little darker than the others, just make sure you're handling it in the correct way, right? Like, don't put other people in certain predicaments. Don't necessarily worry about what other people think about you, right? Just know that you're doing the work and you're getting things done and you're handling the business, but also be cognizant of you know what's going on around you, but just don't worry about it, right? Like, don't pay attention to the issues. Don't take people laughing. Don't take stressful situations where, like with her, where she got laughed at or she got booed at the end that had nothing to do with her. So don't worry about that. Just do the work, stay focused, and exploit those bad dark areas.
I think the most successful people are able to self-assess and self-critique. And I think people who aren't successful, even if it's just not being successful in one of these four categories, either aren't able to see their deficiencies, but most people just don't want to, right? Like you said, most people will tell themselves a situation is this because they don't want to do the work, or they'll make excuses for that situation instead of actually doing the work. So at the point that you either get tired or you get desperate or you just really want to change your life, you stop making those excuses and you really just start working. And that can be said for an athlete. That can be said for somebody who works a regular 9 to 5 and everywhere in between. I'll speak personally for myself. I told y'all, and I might have said on this podcast a couple of weeks ago, since the beginning of the year, I lost 30 pounds. And part of it was self-assessment, right? Looking in the mirror, and I don't look that big. You know, I gained a couple pounds. I know I did, but I don't look crazy. And eventually looking at a picture and saying, nah, I look crazy as hell. And living with that and accepting it and saying from there, okay, now I have to change the things that I'm doing in order to, one, feel better about myself, two, be healthy enough to be here for my kids for the rest of or not the rest of their lives, but for a big portion of their lives. And three, to be a good role model to anybody that's watching me, whether I know they're watching or not. But that's a hard point to get to when you have to look in the mirror figuratively and be real with yourself. It's easier for some people, but again, a lot of people aren't ready to do that. And at the point that you get ready and you sit down and you do it, that's when real change starts to happen.
Good. Yeah. So for you to those four pillars, mental, physical, emotional, and financial, for any person, and it takes discipline, it takes will, and it just takes consistency, right? And it's important because things like that, no one else can do for you, right? People may be able to assist you. People may be able to give you advice, right? But you got to do the work, because if you don't do it, then if not you, then who, right? Like that's a saying that is extremely relevant in this situation. And I think G brings up a great part. Like sometimes people just don't want to do it. And that's fine, right? If you're not willing to do it, then that's just you. But a lot of people don't realize when you're trying to hit that threshold of like you're right at your ceiling and you're trying to go to the next level, sometimes it don't matter what the hell you want to do. It's the things you just have to do, even when you don't want to. And I think that's a lot of the barriers that especially people, now like our age group, and then even older than us, as you start to get older, it's harder to change that, right? Which is why we stress the importance of starting early and doing those things, because we all know is certain habits that the older you get is kind of hard to break, just off of just you being comfortable, being used to and doing it. But for sure, you have to do that if that's what you're willing, if that's what you want to do to reach the next level. But if you just want to be average and comfortable and just maintaining, that's fine. Like you can just get away by doing a half-hearted job for sure. But the key for those 4 things is consistency, doing it when you don't want to, as much as when you do want to, because that's the biggest difference between a winner and a loser. The winner is going to do the work even when he or she does not want to, when the loser is just like, I don't want to do it, so I'm not about to do it. So for me, just for the average, I guess, quote unquote, non-athlete human, like either you're going to do it or you're not.
100%. And I think I got the right to say this, and y'all my social proof. But I'm willing to work a lot more than most. I truly believe that. And I pay attention to everything. I always have, but especially over the past couple of years. People that don't do the work, that's because it's about you. It's about them. Like, to go back to KP's statement, it would have been a lot harder, no matter what she was going through, to check out on the championship if she played a team sport. Like Lakers, if that was the Lakers, LeBron, and you made it to the finals versus the Nets, you gonna quit now, bro? Because the media? Or even the other day, Jeff Saturday, who's a really reliable source, Aaron Rodgers might come back because he loved his teammates too much. Right? The bread ain't right, the GM ain't been right, XYZ, but he might come back because he loved his teammates. Right? So mentally, right? So say you're mentally weak and you keep calling out of work when you don't got a good relationship with your mom, y'all get in an argument. Right? And you just met this beautiful woman, y'all engaged, and she says, I'm going to leave you if you don't get this together. Now you got a reason that's not about you. You'll probably get it together. Or you that guy who never works out, and now your girl left you, and now you're single again. You got to look good to attract new ladies. It's not about you. Or your lady's about to leave you because you're unhealthy, and all of a sudden you're physically fit. It's not about you. Right? Or you don't got no bread. You living on your cousin's couch. Not because you're investing and you're in that kind of time. You're just being lazy. You don't got it together. Oh, now you meet this woman. I don't mess with dudes that don't got their own crib at 31. Oh, now you got 2 jobs. Now you investing. It's not about you, right? And I'm not gonna cry because every time I say his name, it's so important to me. But so much of what I do is based on my son. I'm not gonna cry. Like that's how much it gets me. Like I have to be mentally fit, right? Because at 23, now that I look back, like when I had him 20, I was definitely depressed, bro. I was definitely depressed, 100%. right? The French Open wasn't my thing. It was my job. It was life wasn't meeting my expectations. I made it all the way to this point, and it wasn't what I thought it was, you know. And I was looking for love, not in all the wrong places, but looking for love and fulfillment and things from outside instead of inside. And I didn't have my own direction, you know, and things were all about me. I would call out of work, or I would go party when I should miss, like whatever the case may be. It was all about me. So if you're not doing the work, that means it's about you. That means it's about you, right? When I get in that gym, I'm thinking, yo, one day I'm gonna have a time when I'm gonna have to show up. I'm gonna have to walk down the aisle for Shorty wedding, or T gonna need me to be somewhere, or it's gonna be something where she needs my strength, or one day I'm gonna get sick, and I'm not gonna. You know, I don't mean this disrespectfully at all, but like it's been a powerful moment for me. But I don't want Nas to have to go through what KP and Just did. I just don't. Right? Whether that's mentally, physically, whatever, I don't want to go before him. Like how G just called himself, I want to be here for my kids' life. No, not the whole thing, because I need to go first. Right? But I want to be here as long as possible. So that's why I'm up at 5 every day. I gotta get that work on it. I gotta get that reading in. Right? I can't miss the workout calls on Saturday because no mouth, no call. Right? There could be, but I can't miss the podcast. No mouth, no call. Sometimes there's only one person watching, but every now and then we get a text like we did the other day. Yo, I appreciate y'all. Inspiration from every corner. I told my brother to watch this because he's just like y'all. If y'all can do it, he can do it too. And he made 10 G's off the stock market last week, and he learned from you. Or my uncle, who I never really talked to, said, yo, Malk, I just wanted to thank you for getting on that call with me, showing me the market. I just made some bread. Or my godfather, who I never really talked to, emailing me, asking him to teach it. People always paying attention. Or Miss Kim losing the 40 pounds. Miss Johnson losing the 33 pounds, right? So I always show up, no matter what I'm doing, no matter where I am. And I say it in public to give myself that pressure because people counting on me, right? So I'm mentally fit so I can teach people. Right. So not for this, like this came before I was even conscious of it, but like, yo, it saves lives. Literally. Multiple kids like, yo, Malk, you saved my life just from talking to them about life in math class. So I don't miss work. T always talk about, Malk, you never call out. Yo, people are counting on me. People count on me, Mr. Malcolm. As soon, I mean, well, KG, you ain't really been in the room too much. Most of your experience is virtual. But yo, if I miss a day at school, Malcolm, where was you at? Like, yo, you can't miss. What was you doing? You can't get sick. You can't take only if it's Nas. All right. But usually you come back after you take Nas. Why wasn't you here? Like, people are counting on you. So if you're not doing the work, you're making it about you. Those extra pounds are coming on. That's because you're chasing that taste. You're not thinking about getting sick or getting ill or looking the best for your husband or wife. You're being selfish, right? If you're mentally weak and you're not going through the mental processes to get strong, you're being selfish. If you're emotionally weak, you're being selfish. And I don't mean weak, but when you're weak and not doing the work, because there's going to be times of weakness. Like even I had it. Like I told G 2 weeks ago or something that we're pursuing. Like, yo, I just want to quit. You feel me? He's like, nah, bro. Like take a walk, and I'm gonna give you some time. Hit me later. Next day, I was like, yo, man, forget that. I just gotta change my strategy. Boom, right? But as soon as I got to that weak point, first thing I reached out. Like I'm feeling a little funny. And then I immediately went into action to change my situation. So let's go through closing comments. So I say, if you're not doing the work, you're making it about you. Number one, like G said, you're not keeping the G with yourself. And number two, you're making it about you. You know, we've seen so many people, especially over the past year, they took a lot of major L's because they weren't prepared, because they were doing things for them, not realizing that when they take that L, the consequences hit everybody that they love, right? So if you're suffering and you're not doing the work, suffering is cool because life is going to come at you. But if you're not doing the work, you're making it about you. And you'll be surprised about the person that you can become when you make it about somebody else. So now let's do G, KG, Pizzle.
All right, so I wrote down a question. What do you want out of life? That's what it boils down to. What do you want for yourself? What do you want for your family? What do you want for your community? And once you figure that out, you have to figure out how to get there. And if you really want it, you'll do everything it takes. It's as simple as that.
That's me, right? It's kind of similar. How bad do you want it? We all know that old adage. If you want it, you got to work for it. That's something that, you know, a lot of people learned when they were children, but don't realize that the power behind that message, right? A lot of people think that you can slither or skip steps or get to the level, but every step has a purpose. You know, every moment is needed to get where you want to get. And just like Malcolm and we often say to each other, yo, like everything matters, yo, like everything. And once you realize that that's the part of it, and then I think your perspective will change a little different. You'll move a little differently. And also, last thing is, just like G said, man, like just keep it 100 with yourself. Just understand yourself. If you know you need to get better in situations, then attack that with the same amount of energy that you would attack something that you enjoy or that you attack with something good. So, you know, that's the last thing I want to say about that. KP.
And I'll keep it real short and simple, and that's exploit the weak and build the strong. Right? Find your weakness and continue to build on your strong points, and that's it.
Dope. And I'll say this in closing to compound on what you all said. So it's not about what you want, because people that want it, you may or may not. But E.T., he blew up off a statement that says, when you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, that's when you'll be successful. But you don't want to breathe. You need to breathe. You need to breathe. So once you get to the point to where you need to win, you will win. Like mentally, when you need to show up, you'll figure it out. Your wife leaving you or your son is not talking to you because you bipolar and you're not doing the work, your counseling, your therapy, or your medicine or whatever. Once they leave you, if you truly love them, then you'll start to figure it out. You wanted to before, now you need to, right? Or if you're physically ill and you go to the doctor and now they say, if you eat some more, too much sugar, you're going to have diabetes, which leads to cancer. Now you need to, right? So I agree with the want, but it has to be so high that you need to win. And those are the people that make the changes. Dang, Tony going to the gym now? Tony ain't never go to the gym before. Oh, the doctor said if you don't lose 60 pounds by 2022, he gonna die, right? Or Tim got a job, a new job in the business. Oh, the bank said that the mortgage forbearance is over and he got 90 days to pay back 2 months. Then you start to figure it out. But the people who have that kind of mentality before the need situations are the ones who win. So wanting it is cool, and you do have to want it. But the difference between a participant, a finisher, and the winner is that the previous two, they want it. But the latter, they need it. So if you're struggling, you're making it about you, and you just want it. But if you're winning, you make it about somebody else, and you need it. See you next week. Peace out.